This might be a surprise to some people, but Ash is my favourite character in the Alien series as of 2026, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. I find Ash really intriguing. If I start, actually, let's go the other way. Let's start with Ian Holmes playing Ash. I think that it was very clever for Ridley Scott and Dan O'Bannon and Skylar Hill. I can't remember exactly. They just said the Brandywine lot included the Ash story. I think the Ash story is very, very good. There's a lot of nuance to it. It was probably very tempting to make things a bit obvious that Ash was an android, but they, restrained, right? Held that back. There's no hints. There's no this. There's no that. You just get it straight. You're fed basically nothing. He's just acting like a character, and then at one point he gets his head knocked off. Or just before that, he starts freaking out, right? And then there's the little yellow milk jobby. The milk, not yellow milk, the white milk blood type androidy stuff. Very, very cool. What I think is also an amazing aspect in the story that barely gets discussed is how Ash sees humanity and how he sees humans, how he sees the alien, how he sees the situation going on, the fact that he's been given orders that contradict some of the things that he may believe or he's been programmed for, etc., etc., is super, super interesting. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to go through the film from the perspective of Ash, but also add a second and third element to it. So I've done a video on that Weyland-Yutani and Ash didn't know about the alien before the Nostromo landed at all. Like, when we find out as the audience, that's when Ash finds out. Loads of people don't think this is true. They are wrong. The information in the film tells you such. I will very briefly, quickly cover them now. Number one, the idea is that they were, and because it's in the book and because it's in the script, some scripts, but because it's not in the film, they're going from Planet A, right? I'm not going to give it a name, and then they're trying to get home to Earth. We absolutely know they're going to Earth because they say Antarctica Station, they say going home, but we are told it's Earth. And when they're woken up at LV-426, which isn't called that at the time, the moon, right, the moon that they land on, the planetoid as they call it, they say that they are halfway. Right, so they are halfway home. Now, that doesn't have to be precise, but it gives you a general idea. They also say it's another 6 months home. So that kind of gives us a time, right? We've got a location and a time. Not that the time really matters, but people say, well, Ash was put on the Nostromo here, right, as a sleeper agent to guide the ship there and do all this stuff. So, number one, Ash is a mole. Right? Oh, actually, I need to add a bit more to that. With alien knowledge. Right? Knowledge. And what that means is that he knew about the alien beforehand. This is wrong. This alien knowledge thing is wrong. How do I know this is wrong? Number one, they would just send a crew of scientists, other androids, whatever, from Earth. Or somewhere this side of the system. How do I know that? Well, because you wouldn't risk these things from happening. Number one, the crew might survive. That's number one. The crew do survive. Ripley survives. The alien is killed. It's destroyed. That's really bad. We want the specimen. That's really bad. If they know where they're going to be, they know which ship to pick, why would they just send a Nostromo? It's stupid. Now, someone is going to say something daft like, they can't make it obvious, they have to find it by accident, so on and so on. It's just nonsense because of other points, right? Which I'll get to very quickly. They would send something that doesn't put the ship at risk. Not just the Nostromo, the alien specimen. Number 3 is, if fucking Ripley turns up and says, there's an order here that says crew expendable, Whaley's down here in deep shit, massively deep shit, that's not worth it. You just send somebody else. Somebody else who knows what's going on. Someone who's actually on the payroll. Someone who's prepared. Number 2, the reason why Whale and Yutani didn't know, is Ash left it to chance. Left it to chance, right? How do I know Ash left it to chance? Hey Ash, are you going on the expedition? Nah. I'm just going to hope that one of you clowns, one of you 3 clowns who really don't want to go, we can tell that because you say beforehand, it's walking distance, Lambert, you're going, whatever, fine. The only one who seems eager is Kane. Off they go, and Ash just hopes that whatever's in this ship, that someone's stupid enough to put the face in it. And he also seems to just hope that the alien can break through the helmet. Think about what happens. Kane goes down a hole. What happens if that hole wasn't there? Kane goes down the hole and then falls. He didn't mean to fall, but he accidentally falls. And then he goes, if that was Lambert, imagine if Kane couldn't fit. Lambert would be like, fuck me, get me out of here, There's just loads of weird little egg things, get me out of here. It's all dead, it's forgotten. Have you found anything? No, get me fuck out of here. Ash is leaving this to chance. Now everyone says Ash has to be left on the ship to let them in. That is not true. If you listen to the film, right, so let in, right? If you listen to the film, Ripley says you have to stay outside in the airlock for 24 hours. The chestburster might have not even come out in that time. So then the doors would automatically open. Right? She's going to leave them there for 24 hours and have them tested or something. Have they got scanning equipment in the airlock? Not that I know of. She just says the law is you have to wait outside for 24 hours, for contamination reasons, for quarantine reasons. 24 hours, they would have come in anyway. You could have actually even had a bit in the scene where they didn't let Ripley in, there's an argument. Ash can't have, shortcut the system, and then it fades to black, and 24 hours later, the doors open and Dallas goes charging in and starts shouting at Ripley. The film wouldn't have changed. Well, the timing of the film would change, but all of the events would still happen. They'd still end up taking Kane to medbay, they'd still cut him out of his suit, and so on and so forth. He might have woke up then instead of it waiting however long they wait. I think I might have an alien. So, there's all of these things that... number 4. Number 4. The orders. If Ash was given, they invite Ash into a room and say to him, right, you're going to go on the Nostromo, there's this alien thing, you're just going to have to chance it and hope they pick up a specimen. You just have to chance it and hope. Right? So, be really incognito. Whatever you do, don't go on the expedition. These are your orders. And they tell him to him. So why are they in the fucking ship? Why are the orders in the ship, in Mother, telling Ash so Ripley can read them? That's evidence, fuckhead. Ripley could take a photo of that, or download it, or whatever. What do you mean? Imagine if she saw them orders and Ash wasn't there. There wouldn't have been a fight, and she could have fucking told everybody. She could have sent a message. She could literally send a message, and once it's out in space, that's it. The message gets sent. This is a very, 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 very stupid plan. So, what is the alternative? Or what is a alternative? We know that Ash was replaced. We know that this is correct. We know that they're halfway home. We know that it makes no sense. for them to send the Nostromo, to send someone to actually gather specimens. They're not going to kill them. Also, the little silly one at the back is Weyland then forgot. Right, they forgot about it, built an atmosphere processor there, and no one was none the wiser, which is absolutely fucking retarded. That's just retarded. So, what we're going to do is we're going to slightly speculate, just to give you an idea of what could be, because people are going to say, yeah, but you've got all these things that don't make sense, Matt, what's going on? So, the Nostromo leave. No one knows about this ship whatsoever. For whatever reason, I don't know, there's a little moonquake or there's a landslide and it hits the ship and then it sends an automatic signal. Or the power source in the ship is getting so low and it gets below a critical point where the ship automatically shouts for help. Maybe it's that. Who knows, whatever. They fly, the Nostromo, I believe, we don't actually know, flies from Earth to here to go and pick up the refinery and then goes back. It went past here. This seems like a shipping lane, possibly. Maybe loads of people go nearish here. We don't know how far the Nostromo goes off course. There could be Earth. Here could be location. And this Zeta Reticuli could be here and it's been diverted. We just don't know. So, why did Ash replace the officer, right? The science officer on the Nostromo? Don't know. We're never given why the crew was... Maybe the crew member was put onto another ship. Maybe he was promoted. Maybe he was fired. Maybe he was having a kid and asked for leave. We don't get any reason why the science officer was replaced. But why was it replaced by Ash? The crew is surprised that Ash is a goddamn robot. Okay, cool. Which we'll get to. We'll get back to that. Cool, so they're surprised that Ash was a robot. No one knew, right? And Ash is in a sleep pod, which I don't know why would be. Maybe androids need it as well, I don't know. Maybe they get damaged, we never actually find that out. David is awake, blah, 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 Prometheus, let's ignore that, because that's the shit film. So, what could be a possible reason? And this is completely conjecture, but I have to make something be able to fit. So, to give you an example of something like this happening, I'm going to have to go down a little side tangent just to give you an example. We're going to talk about Jake Sully out of Avatar. Jake Sully has been requested to come to Pandora. He's a Marine, he's crippled, he's going to get a desk job in the Marines. So his motivation to go anywhere is because he was a Marine, he probably wanted to stay a Marine, but now he's fucking useless. So his motives are, they've given me this opportunity, my brother's died, they've given me this opportunity to go and do something, right? To go and do something different. I might be able to be useful, instead of just in this fucking chair, surrounded by people who can all run around. And obviously his health insurance isn't paying for his legs, and the military don't, I don't know why, but they don't. This is just what we're given. So Jake Sully's motives are, I want to do something else because I feel out of place in the job that I wanted to do but can no longer do. That's his motive. When he gets to Pandora, he finds out that all the scientists don't particularly think, they're not interested in him. However, this costs so much money, they need the bodies on the ground in these avatars, and he is a perfect match. They can, at least, instead of losing someone who was great, have half a person, but that's better than none. Right, it's a lot of money, and the company, they're worried about wasting money. I get that. So their motives are, we've lost someone great, we'll have you 10% of your brother, but at least 10% is better than nothing. Okay, so that's their motives. Then what happens is that the general military man turns around to Jake and says, I can't remember his name, but he says to Jake, I want you to spy on these twats because I'm kind of cut out of the loop on a lot of these conversations. You're a Marine, I'm your commanding officer, but I'm asking you to do me a favour. And if you do said job, I will make sure you get your legs back. Now all of a sudden, Jake has a totally different motive, but the people he's already met don't know that motive. His motive is, shit, I might get my legs back. And I am a soldier, and I've been loyal to the Marines. Then later on, Jake goes and gets another motive, and he's lying to the officer, he's kind of semi-lying to them, and he's lying to himself, basically. And that's all there is in that film. All three of them, forget them, they're shite. But the point I'm trying to make is that people can have alternative motives for things, and motives can change on a step-by-step basis. So let's flick this back to the Alien story. Imagine in the future, androids that look and talk like people exist. What would be the first thing we're bothered about? Work. This android can do everything we do. So much so, we think he's an actual person. So if you think about the working Joes in Alien Isolation, they're doing humans' jobs, but the radiation doesn't bother them too much, blah, 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 blah. All these things, they're expendable, blah, 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 all this kind of shite. So imagine Weyland are sick of people whinging, and this is in the film, shares, money, we need you to go and do these orders, we have to forfeit the shares to make you do the right thing. They're constantly whinging about time off and money and all this kind of shite, depending which source you look at, the novel or the actual film. But in the film, they are whinging, Parker and Brett are whinging about money. I'm sure Lambert and Kane and everyone, they've also whinged about money at some point, or their deals, or their contracts, or something like that. Next, you also have to put them in sleep pods. You have to feed them. So you have to carry food, oxygen, all this shit, which I'm sure Ash probably doesn't need from what we've seen in the other films. Ash doesn't need those things. He needs an electricity supply, and that's it. So they've got all of this shit, right? They've got all of this stuff that you need humans for. So, what do you want to do? Well, you'd want to replace them with androids. The fact is that the androids are a bit like the working Joes. So what would someone like Weyland do? I don't know. Make a crew that passes human. Right? That passes human. And the best way to test this is to put this on a crew with humans and see if they fucking know. See if they notice. Right? Because it'll save them a lot of money in the long run, but the unions and the law makes it illegal. Now, I'm making all this shit up, but this is something that could happen. This is something I feel that belongs in this world. Like I said, they complain about contracts and shares and finders keepers and salvage rights and, even in Aliens, there's all that kind of shit about if we find something, is it ours? It's like, yes, and blah, 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 and contracts and all this kind of, They talk about Ripley losing her license in Aliens. All that kind of shite. And they talk about the hierarchy. You're the captain, he's the science officer. When Dallas isn't on the ship and Kane, I'm in charge. So we learn about the hierarchy. It's very similar to nowadays. Not only that is, if you hear an SOS, you go and have a look. That's maritime law that's in effect today, right? If you can, you go and help. That's maritime law. That's something that makes sense in the future. All of these things make sense, right? It's very grounded in reality. So I can see this idea of Ash being put on the ship as not just one ship. There could be a few Ashes or a few different versions of Ash that are undercover, that go around and they're seeing if this works. Because what you could do is you could slowly and surely replace all of the crew. Just slowly. In 20 years, there might be one crew member and 5 of them are androids. They all know, but he doesn't. And then he retires, and then they replace him with a synthetic. When people go on the ships or when they get to port, you just think they're people. Because they're slyly doing it, no one knows they're capable of doing it. That could be a drive for profit. It makes sense. Right? You pay the androids nothing. You'd save loads of money. Because it's all about saving money. This is what this whole... it's all about corporations and companies and stuff. It's baked into the Alien series. Okay, so Ash is on the ship. And this is just by accident. They come across this thing, and they have to go and do that. Now, apart from all these things not making any sense, when you watch the film and you see Ash see the derelict for the first time, it's like, oh my god. He's actually taken aback. It's not like he's expecting it. So, what I believe is the film goes that Ash is put on the ship for alternative motives. Alternate motives. Right? Motives that we don't find out, but he is there for an alternate reason. And the one I've just gave is a possible. I'm not saying it is the one, it's just a possibility. It would make sense. If you were told that, you'd be like, alright, that makes sense. That literally weirdly enough, that makes a lot more sense about a lot of things. So, when they get here, when they have the argument about wages and the contracts and stuff, Ash doesn't seem like he's too arsed. Yeah, it's the clause, it's this, it's forfeit of shares, no money. He's not like he's really been too serious. He's just jovially getting along. Now, is that because he's a times 10 super AI, super AI, or is that just the fact that it doesn't mean much to him? I think it doesn't mean much to him. They then go down to the surface, not knowing what the fuck they're going to do, and when they all set off, Ash has no problem saying, see you later. Right? The conversation that happens, Ash is over there, and Dallas he's going like, right, Kane, you're coming, obviously, and Lambert, and I go, right, Lambert, let's go. Kane volunteers, right, and then they leave. And Ash is like, well, whatever, I'll keep a monitor of you from here. It all makes sense. If Ash was trying to make sure they get a specimen, Ash would be on there making sure, hey, I think we should go down there, Kane. I don't know. We need to make sure. You're not like leading everyone down that garden path. As a science officer, we can't. You could easily write loads of excuses of why Ash is pushing everyone to do this and do that and do this and do that. But he doesn't. He just leaves it to chance, hoping that they find an alien, if he's in on it. I don't think he is. There's one other thing that I want to cover. We'll stop right there. And that is, I think, number 6. So, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true, and that's not true. Ash is a mole, though. The other one I've got is, I think Ash has the 3 laws. So the 3 laws of robotics are, do as I say, do as humans say, don't harm humans, and don't let any of your actions or inactions cause harm to a human being. Now, you might listen to this and go, no, Matt, you've gone too far. You might blow a snot bubble. You've gone too far now. Ash doesn't have the 3 laws. Let me try and convince you. Right? So, we've seen from Bishop, who we are told has the 3 laws, what Bishop can and can't do. So we'll just lie that out for a minute. Bishop has to do what humans say, which he does. Bishop has to not allow harm to humans. Now, the Marines are going into a hive with machine guns, where there's possible aliens, where they're told there are these possible aliens, and Ripley's described them. Ash has no reason to disbelieve her, right? He's just, well, this is one human saying something, this lot haven't seen this thing, so they don't know. So, okay. So the way that he might assimilate that is that it's dangerous in there. But Ash doesn't run in and try and stop them from being harmed. It's kind of not obviously in this world how the 3 laws work. Number 2 is Bishop lets all the Marines go into the hive. Bishop also lets Ripley go into the hive with the Queen with a gun. He's told to stay here. So, I'll be back, Bishop. Wait for me. So he does. That's law number 1 that supersedes the other 2, unless they contradict. I think it's more like if it's in your face, right? And Bishop also leaves them. He leaves them in the colony, climbs down that tube, and he fucks off down to the transmitter, leaving them to they actually do get attacked by the aliens. So obviously, in the alien universe, let's just say these 3 laws, and Ash and Bishop says he has these 3 laws. This is how they, basically do as I say, number 1, as a human. Number 2, don't let anything harm me if it's in your vicinity. And don't do anything or don't not do anything that will have me harmed, right? So letting me burn to death is a bad thing. Okay, we can work with this. Now we've got the rules from a film that's in the series, this can all make sense. So that's why Ash can let them fuck off, right? Because it's not immediately in danger right now, so you can go. Okay, cool. So that's number one. They go into the ship, get infected, come back. Now, as they come back... Well, no, actually, there's one bit before that. Ripley says, it doesn't like an SOS, it might be a warning. And Ash actually seems... Right, okay. And she's like, well, I'll go and tell him. And then Ash goes, no, it's best staying here. Because this could be, number one, follow orders. I'm just going to write them out. Orders. Number two, harm. I'll just put harm. Not. And then number three, harm not. Actions. Right, so don't physically harm them yourself, and don't physically harm them through actions or not actions. Right, so don't let other people hurt other people. So, she says, I think it might be a warning. And then he says, well, don't go. Right? Don't go. Because if that's true, they're fucked, but you might not be. So that could be interpreted as Ash saying, well, no, if it's a warning, then they'll know by now, but you don't go anywhere. That's making things worse. This is Dr. ABC in fucking medicine. Danger, response, airways, breathing, circulation. It's danger. If you're going to get hurt, then fucking don't go. That's a possible. The next one. Kane, Dallas, and Lambert all turn up at the airlock, and Ripley goes, go on then, Ripley, and she goes, no. He's like, fucking what, bitch? And he's like, it's the law. So, Ash has got two things going on here. The rest of the crew could be possibly, in danger, but right this second, Kane is. Kane is in danger. Right at this second, Kane is in danger. And them two are outside. They'll probably run out of there. So I think this inaction one, and do not harm humans, but I think it's more the action one, number 3, comes in effect right now. This is an act of number 3. Yes, he's disobeying orders, but if Ripley says, nah, fuck it, leave the door locked, well, I know there's a giant fireball coming, Ash will go, no, I'll open the door and save them. This is like Bishop in the dropship. It's becoming unstable. I know I'd say I'd follow orders and wait for Ripley, but me and Hicks right now are going to die. Hicks is going to die. So I fly off, circle around a bit until... There she is, and then comes crashing down and follows his orders. See, I think it's the same kind of thing. So Ash lets them in, and the first thing he does is he examines Kane. Now, if he looks up at the monitors, he goes, I can see something there, and so can Dallas, but I don't know what it is. Okay, well, I'll do some more tests. They all fuck off, everyone has an argument. Kane, Ripley and Dallas have an argument. Ripley walks in and Ash turns the monitors off. That could be because he's trying to work out what's what. There's something in Kane, but he's not sure how dangerous it is, or isn't. And he doesn't need her poking in, making things worse, making things more cloudy. He needs to just process all this information. Because what does he do? It looks like there's something inside Kane, and this thing inside Kane is more probably than not going to hurt him in some kind of way. But it's also keeping him alive, so he's like, what do I do? What do I do? He's given orders by Dallas to cut its leg off. He follows those orders. He is literally harming the specimen. Remember, I don't think he's got orders yet. He's deliberately harming the specimen because he's following orders. Right there in the situation, he's given an order by a human, so he gets to work. They then follow all the acid down because he's worried that it's going to damage the ship, just like they all are. Cool. He has an argument with Ripley. She fucks off. And then immediately, Dallas, you should come and see Kane. The facehugger's gone. He's protecting the rest of the crew. Is Ash? Whoa. Close the door. Don't go in the corners. Oh, no, I think it's Dallas that closes. No, it's Ash that closes the door. But it's basically, don't infect the rest of the ship. Don't go in them corners. He literally says to Ripley, no, don't go in the corners without one of these. Fuck's sake, woman. Again, that's protecting. It's do not, not harm not humans. Right? So that's number 2. Then it falls. Then immediately, Dallas is like, protects Ripley, and Ash is there because he can just tell it's dead. He's got robot eyes. He can fucking tell things are not moving and they're dead. Because he's seen it for hours and hours and hours. So she says maybe it's a zombie, and he laughs and goes, it's not a fucking zombie, you stupid cow. So he's like, we need to take this back. But have you noticed, he's asking Dallas for permission. Dallas, we need to take this back. And she's like, Dallas, what? You can just make decisions like that? That's where that argument comes from. It's like, yeah, he's the science, do you trust him, blah, 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 blah. Then what happens is Kane wakes up, and again, Dallas is informed, and everyone comes and sees him. And he's giving him water, right? Ash is looking after, do not harm, right? Or through your inactions or your actions, blah, 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 blah. Then what happens is that he goes, this is serious. He's monitoring him. And he's like, oh, hang about, this is serious. He literally says, no, don't care, don't worry about it, it'll be all right. He's just choking. No, he's like, this is serious. He tries to hold him down. It then bursts out. And Ash says to Parker, don't touch it. And everyone's like, he's protecting the alien. More like he's protecting Parker and everybody else. He's seen what happens when you stab one. It could kill you. You stab it, it sprays acid at you, you could die. It went through the fucking bulkhead. It was going to go through you like a fucking Mars bar, right? It's not going to give a shit. Again, he's protecting people, right? He's saying, don't touch it, don't do that, stop it. And it runs away. Then we concentrate on Ash's face, and Ash is like, fuck me. He's not prepared for that. He might have known something was... I'm sure Ash actually did know there was something inside, but he didn't expect it to come out like that. Maybe he was expecting it just to live there inside him like a tapeworm. Because you've got to remember, Ash has all of these things that we know about, and it could be akin to a tapeworm. Right? You shit it out, and it grows. But no, this thing bursts out here, and he's scared shit. He's shocked. Not scared, but shocked. Shocked shitless. They get rid of the body, and then... they say, right, we need to catch it. Right? And Ash makes the motion trackers to help find the critter. I think that's a protective thing. I think he's trying to not make sure the crew doesn't get harmed. We've got a net, we've got the motion tracker, Brett's made a cattle prod, right? But that is Ash trying to find it and capture it. Now, if he was trying to protect the specimen, surely he'd just say it's run off. We best just stay away from it. We best stay away from it, really. You know, we'll lock all the doors, and we'll only have these 3 corridors open and leave it at that. That's kind of what you do, surely. And when they get to Earth and get out of the fucking Nostromo, they can commandeer the ship. Wouldn't that be a better thing to do instead of have them engage it? Ash doesn't know how long it takes to grow. But no, instead he's helping them catch it. There's then another section when Brett gets... up he goes. And then they say, right, it's huge. And then he says, right, Ash, what do you think? And Ash says, and this is crazy, I know people have said that the aliens aren't killed by fire, but those people are fucking idiots. Fire is fire, it's just energy. Right? It's just energy. Unless the alien's made out of some kind of fucking titanium alloy or nickel or something, fucking Inconel or something, it'll fucking burn. Right? And we see the fucking Drake's flamethrowing them, and they're all not charging at him, and the Queen doesn't like fucking fire, and all the eggs burn, and the chestburster burns. Fireworks, people. So, but this is Ash that tells them, well, most animals retreat from fire, right? And then he's a bit of a snarky cunt, you know what I mean? But he's like, this is how we sort this shit out. So they make some flame units, that's Parker's job. He makes some flame units. Dallas goes in the things. Now, Ash isn't there. He can see a bleep on a thing and he doesn't know what's going to happen, so he can't physically stop him. It's not in his vicinity. He doesn't know what's going to happen. Dallas gets kidnapped. Off he goes, or dead, we don't know. And there's a bit where Ash is doing this thing where Ripley's like, oh God, he's a creepy bastard. And Ash is just there. And I think Ash is just revelling in the fear. Right? Because I think that Ash doesn't like humans too much. I think, and we'll get to why, obviously there's a big speech of why, which is what makes Ash really interesting. But, you know, at the end of the day, fear's just a state of mind, right? No one's getting hurt or anything, they're just afraid. So she's shitting herself, and Ash is just soaking it up. It's like, I love the smell of fear in the morning, kind of thing. I think he's just interested in it. So, Dallas goes missing. And when Dallas goes missing, we've lost Kane, we've lost Dallas. And this is where I believe that Ripley and Ash... So, Ripley and Ash... Ripley and Ash... I don't know why I wrote that the wrong way around. Are equals. I think the pecking order goes Dallas, Kane, and Ripley and Ash. She's just a flight officer and Ash is a science officer, so I think that they're level pegging. The reason why is because Ripley says to Ash, for the first time after Kane's death, Dallas's death, for the first time ever, anything from you or Mother. So she knows that Ash can now talk to Mother. Right? Ash knows... Ripley knows that Ash can talk to Mother. But then she says, well, I've got access now as well. So I'll get my own fucking answers. And this is when Dallas dies and Parker goes and gets the flamethrower and they all regroup, I reckon that's when Ash goes to Mother because he now has access. Got to remember, there's a big kerfuffle with all these things and stuff for Dallas to get access. There's a bleeping at the beginning, and Ash goes, oh, Mother wants you, Dallas. Like it's Dallas's eyes only is Mother. You know what I mean? It's like a hierarchy thing. But of course, because Dallas is incapacitated and gone, so is Kane, then it rests on these two. So Ripley literally says to Ash, what do you and Mother think? She goes, well, I've got access now as well, so I'll go and get... And the only thing that's changed when she says, I'll get access now, is that Dallas has died. So... she goes and talks to Mother. Now, it would be absolutely moronic for these orders for Wayland to write down the fucking orders in text for her to see and for her to gain access. I'm just going to push some buttons and bypass your AI systems. You go, you're not seeing them, you fucker. Surely Mother would just delete them after Ash has seen them. This is not an Amiga. This is not a Windows 98 where there's always a way around it. This is a supercomputer in the future and Ripley pushes a few buttons. I reckon what happened is Ash goes to Mother and says, right, there's this alien, Dallas has told you. She's like, yeah, there's this alien, it does this, that and the other. What do I do? And this kicks off a hidden protocol, a special order that's hidden in all of the systems, in all of the ships that work for Wayland. When they upload all of the stuff, like contracts and shit, it's in there. And Mother says, in the event of this, because they're not talking backwards and forwards, Ripley tried to talk to Antarctica Station. They're 6 months away. They're light years away, right? Even if you could talk that distance, you'd have to wait ages for a reply. So Dallas isn't talking to Wayland. We know this from 57 years in the future. You don't get direct communication from the Marines back home, or the colony back home, or from there to the colony. It's not instantaneous. We know this. We absolutely know that messages don't travel like fucking ringing someone on Earth. So, these are pre-baked orders into the ship, or pre-baked orders into the software package that Wayland gives you when you work for them, because they cite contracts. That's how they get it at the beginning. It's all you've all been given the information. According to your contract, your Wayland-Yutani contract, you've got to do this, and this. Or forfeiture of shares, etc., etc. So, Ash says to the mother, what do I do? Mother says, in the event of this, right? And she says, what happened? Signal detected. Nostromo diverted. That's what happened. That's what happened. Right? Signal detected. The orders are gather the specimen. Right? All of the considerations are secondary, which includes crew expendable. Right? And I think what happens then is this fucks Ash up. This is what fucks Ash up. Because the crew is expendable. Now that's all good and dandy, but what happens when your new orders from Wayland and your three robotic laws are face to face? Ripley reads it and she's like, you fucking arsehole. Right? And she's like, they've already discussed it, let's blow up the fucking ship. So Ripley, he knows that Ripley will fuck the orders over. She'll kill the specimen. And he's got to stop her. That's his orders. His orders are to stop her. However, he can't stop her because he can't harm her or do anything of his actions to harm her. And I think that's where he goes all fucking funny and stupid. When she attacks him, she's trying to stop him following his orders from Wayland. So he goes all fucking screwy. And he does go screwy, right? He goes fucking screwy. He says there's an explanation for this. Logically, there is an explanation for this. I've asked Mother. Mother's given me orders, which means you lot are fucked. However, I can't kill you or let you die in front of me. Shit. So it's kind of like... And then she goes mental, knocks him about, and that just pushes him over the edge, right? His programming starts attacking itself, it's all fucked, and then they end up knocking his head off. Right, so, when they knock his head off, they put him back together, and she goes, what about the orders? He goes, it's pretty obvious really, isn't it? Now he's had a reboot, you know what I mean? Now he's had a reboot, and he's incapacitated, there is no problem now, because he can't enact these two, right? He can't stop them from being harmed. Right? He can't stop them from being harmed because he can't move, he's just ahead. So what does he do? He follows orders. She asks him questions and he answers them. He answers the questions. And then she says to him, Lambert says, you admire it. And he says, I admire its purity. It's a survivor. It's not clouded by morality. And I think that's the thing. He does almost envy the alien because... he's made to have these fucking orders that resulted in him getting his head smashed off. And it's like the alien would have just said, fucking idiots, and killed him. And I think he envies the alien because, unlike these emotional retards, just like him, he's more akin to the alien than he is humans because they have these dickhead emotion things. He's like, I like that. It's straightforward. You know what you need to do and you just fucking get on and do it. I admire the alien for doing that because it doesn't fuck around. It just gets on with it. So now all of a sudden this all makes sense. The whole thing makes sense. All of his actions are covered. This is why Ash does the things he does. This is why they all end up going that way. All these people who say Wayland Yutani knew can't explain why they didn't go back. They start saying, well, it was one person secretly in Wayland. It's like, oh, okay then. That's an absolute massive stretch. An absolute massive stretch. Yeah, it was just one person and then he forgot about it and died and something. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah. It's like, no, like I say, why Ash is there could be for any reason. The other thing is as well that's I think is quite interesting is when Parker goes, Ash is a goddamn robot, right? It's the crew are shocked, but they're not overly shocked. If that happened in front of me, I'd be like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like that. Like this, I thought this was a person. They're like, Ash is a robot, but we know of robots. Ash is an android, but we know they can be this good. Like there's some sex ones on the market that cost 20 million quid, but they're amazing, kind of thing. It's almost like they're not. The other thing is as well is that Ripley knows how to plug him back in. Ripley plugs Ash back in with not too much of a problem. So I'm like, maybe everyone does robotics at school kind of shit. Maybe they do at college and universities and stuff do robotics and they know quite a lot of this stuff. Maybe working Joes are everywhere, but this is just a shit hot model that they've never... Why would it be on the Nostromo? You know what I mean? Now, Ripley is the one that says, the only thing I can think of is because of the bioweapons division. James Cameron is so much of a shit writer that he thought, well, that's exactly why they do that. The alien is a shit weapon. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible weapon. We'll go into that in another video. But the alien is a terrible weapon. You might be able to get acid. There might be some things you can get for it that might have very small military applications. But as an entity, it is a shit weapon. But the interesting thing I find about this is that this then all does fit, right? Is that what happened on LV-426 was exactly how it's portrayed. Is that they came across it by accident. It was just blind luck, in a sense, that, to use a phrase from Aliens, it's blind luck that Ash just happened to be there at the same time. They don't know, and we don't know, that every ship at the moment has one android on board that's undercover. We just don't know that. We weren't given that information. But I think it's a much more intriguing idea that there's like this android espionage. Unfortunately, every series in the Alien thing says, well, you have to have an android now. Why? The first one had an android. The second one had an android because that would make sense. Because the first thing you'd say is, what happened to the androids? It's 60 years later, basically. What happened to the androids? That's what you'd say, right? And then they're like, well, Bishop has to be in the third one. That makes sense. Why would you have to have that in the third one? But then it just gets silly. Alien Resurrection, Prometheus, Covenant, Badlands. Everything has to have an android in. I'm like, no. Just please stop it. It's one of the main things, in Isolation there was loads of them, which I understand it gives you another enemy type. But, I like the working Jaws actually, because there would be people who do that. They have a very simplistic version that's just cheap. I do like that idea. At least that's something other than the bog standard, I'm an android. I walk around like a person. And you'd think I'm a person, but I'm really an android. Very little effort put in. Where the working Jaws was something where, fucking hell, yeah, that they would make discount versions that do very, very basic stuff. Because that's really their main functionality. They couldn't use working Jaws in this scenario because let's just imagine that replacing a human position, a human job position, is illegal, right? The fucking unions would go mad. The governments of the world have deemed it illegal because otherwise corporations would literally just make everyone a fucking robot and people would just be poor on the streets because they can control them. Any road. I would like to know if anyone can Pocahontas in any of these things, or if there's anything they feel like I've missed out. And if there's enough of a big enough argument or enough stuff, we will visit this again, because I find that the Ash story, the Ash character, the whole concept of Ash is very, very cool. There's a lot to be said about what Ash thinks about these things. When he sees these things, what's going on in his mind, what does that mean for the wider scope of the universe, so on and so forth. Hope that makes sense, and I'll see you next time.